Kohlberger resides in Pullman, Washington, and is a graduate student at Washington State University. We will provide as much information as we can about the extradition to Idaho and the criminal process. However, due to Idaho state law, we are limited in what information we can release today until Kohlberger has his initial appearance in Idaho court. I want to express my appreciation to our local community, the people of Idaho, and those throughout our nation who provided information to help us investigate these murders has been very impressive. We've received over 19,000 tips, and we've conducted over 300 interviews. To recap this case, on the evening of November 12th, Kaylee and Madison arrived home at about 1:56 a.m. after visiting a local bar and street food vendor. Ethan and Xana were at the Sigma Chi house before arriving home around 1:45 a.m. The two surviving roommates had also been in the community but returned around 1 a.m. On the morning of November 13th, a 911 call was made at 11:58 a.m. reporting an unconscious person at the residence. The call came from inside the home from one of the surviving roommates' cell phones. Moscow police responded and found two victims on the second floor. On November 17th, autopsies were conducted, and the Latah County coroner confirmed the identity of the four victims. The cause and manner of death was homicide by stabbing. Some had defensive wounds, and each had been stabbed multiple times. These murders have shaken our community, and no arrest will ever bring back these young students. However, we do believe justice will be found through the criminal process. This was a very complex and extensive case. We had developed a clear picture over time, and we stand assured that the work is not done. But be assured the work is not done. This has just started. Since November, we have remained laser focused on pursuing every lead in our pursuit of justice for the victims and their families. I recognize the frustration with the lack of information that's been released. However, providing any details in this criminal investigation might have tainted the upcoming criminal prosecution or alerted the suspect of our progress. We will continue to provide as much information as we can as the process moves forward. Today, I want to specifically thank our dedicated Moscow Police Department detectives, patrol officers, the Idaho State detectives, the Idaho State troopers, and their crime lab technicians and scientists, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation for the resources and personnel to conduct this massive investigation. It was the dedication of them and the persistence and the numerous hours that led to an arrest. Fortunately, these highly skilled people worked together as a cohesive team to solve this case. I also want to thank our community and the nation. Over the past 6 weeks, I've been continually reminded of how much our community cares. Locally, public support has been exceptional with kind words, food for investigators, and letters of support. You will never know how much your words of encouragement help us through these trying times. I appreciate each of you and each of your kindness. Agencies and individuals from across the nation have reached out to us to express their support to this department. I'm reminded how our Moscow community, our families, and the nation has been impacted by this daily. Finally, I do want to thank our media partners for the help. You kept this in the news, you helped us with tips, you kept things going, and we truly appreciate that. And you are the product of those 19,000 tips that we received, which is an impressive number. I would like to invite Bill Thompson, the county prosecutor, up at this time.
Good afternoon, folks. My name is Bill Thompson. I'm the Latah County Prosecutor. And it's sad to be here, but happy to be here at the same time. As Chief Fry indicated, a criminal complaint was filed yesterday here in Latah County, charging the defendant, Mr. Kohlberger, with 4 counts of first-degree murder, in addition to felony burglary, which involves entering the residence with the intent to commit the crime of murder. Mr. Kohlberger, and let me preface, there is a pending case now in court, and I have to live with the restrictions that our Supreme Court places on pretrial publicity. That said, whatever we are allowed to. I just appreciate the factual basis for the charges are summarized in what's called a probable cause affidavit that is on file with the court. According to the rules of the Idaho Supreme Court, that is sealed until Mr. Kohlberger has been served with the Idaho arrest warrant. At that time, we expect that to you, so you can share the true facts with all of your readers and your watchers and your listeners and all of the people who are interested and really need to know what's going on. So please we hope to get that to you as soon as we can. As far as Mr. Kohlberger, I can share with you that he is a graduate student at Washington State University and has an apartment residence over at Pullman. He has had he is being held without bond, and the warrant from our magistrate judge here also provides for no bond. We understand that he's scheduled to be back in court in Pennsylvania next Tuesday afternoon, and that a public defender has been appointed for him there. The process at this point is, since he was arrested in another state, he has the opportunity to either waive extradition and return voluntarily to the state of Idaho, or if he prefers not to waive extradition, then we will initiate extradition proceedings through our governor's office. If we do that, it can take a while for him to get here. So again, I'm asking for your patience and understand that's just the way the system works. Once he gets here, he'll have an initial appearance with our magistrate. They'll deal with issues such as making sure competent counsel is representing him, and the case will be scheduled for further hearings. Your primary source of factual information is going to be the court record, because that's what the Supreme Court says we need to refer you to. So please pay attention to what's going on in court and have people there to watch and hear what's being said. As an attorney, myself and my office, we are limited on what we are allowed by the courts to say outside of the courtroom. So please just work with us. Finally, as the chief indicated, this is not the end of this investigation. In fact, this is a new beginning. You all now know the name of the person who has been charged with these offenses. Please get that information out there. Please ask the public, anyone who knows about this individual, to come forward, call the tip line, report anything you know about him to help the investigators and eventually our office and the court system understand fully everything there is to know about not only the individual, but what happened and why. Next, I'll introduce Colonel Ked Wells from the Idaho State Police. Thank you.
My name is Kedrick Wills. I serve as the director of the Idaho State Police and certainly want to express our appreciation for your attendance here today. These tragic murders took 4 young, vibrant lives from our community. Nothing we do can bring them back. The only thing that we can do in law enforcement to honor their memories that we know of is to bring this to a successful conclusion. This has been a very difficult time for the families, the university, the community, and the state of Idaho. However, it is also proven that communities come together in tough times. Certainly appreciate the support of the local community and our national audience that has been following us as we've worked the case. I'm thankful also to you, the media partners, who have helped keep this case in the forefront that generates the tips and we hope will continue to generate information that will help us to a conclusion of this proceeding. I'd like to express our appreciation on behalf of the Idaho State Police to Chief Fry, his leadership, and the entire Moscow Police Department for the way that they handled this from the very beginning. He directed the right people to the right positions that led us to this conclusion today. I've had the utmost confidence in this investigation and in Chief Fry, as well as in Mr. Bill Thompson and the Latah County Prosecutor's Office, who've been a great partner throughout this. Nothing has deterred the commitment of the investigators who've worked on this case, regardless of the organization they represent. It's been very trying and very difficult, as you know, that it has been on those investigators as they do the tedious work that they're so good at doing. The partnerships is what's led here as well. The partnerships between Moscow Police Department, I'd like to express our appreciation with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, specifically the Special Agent in charge out of the Salt Lake City Division, Dennis Rice, and also the work that happened in the last 24 hours in Pennsylvania with the arrest with the Pennsylvania State Police and Colonel Evanchik with the Pennsylvania State Police. We appreciate what they've done across the nation to help us as well. As Bill shared, this investigation is far from over. In fact, I appreciate what he shared, that this is not an ending, but rather a new beginning. The difference now is, as he shared, that we are dictated what information we can share by the court process and by laws in our state of Idaho. And so we will share, as he shared, Mr. Thompson is absolutely committed to share everything he can share through the court process. We've got to make sure that we don't get in front of that process. And we really deeply appreciate everybody's support here. The relationships that were forged here and the partnerships that were forged have led to this. And based on that is why we're here today. And we continue to believe that the best way we can honor these 4 lives that have been taken is to make sure that we have a successful outcome here. One of the partnerships that's been forged throughout this is a partnership with the University of Idaho. And on that, I'd like to introduce the president of the University of Idaho, Mr. Scott Green.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Scott Green, President of University of Idaho. Today's news of arrest and our extended Vandal family. The outpouring of support over the past 6 weeks helped sustain us during the most trying time. It provided the strength that helped us navigate the international scrutiny visited on our students and employees. We are truly thankful for the compassion and acts of kindness shown to our contagious, and it provided the light that reclaimed ground lost to evil and darkness. We first want to acknowledge and thank Governor Little for the early promise of financial support that enabled the university to secure our campus and focus on helping our students and our employees in the wake of the crimes. We also appreciate the Idaho State Police and the highly visible security presence that brought comfort and calm to a community shocked and confused by the senseless crimes. We never lost faith that this case would be solved and are grateful for the hard work of the Moscow Police Department and their law enforcement partners. Vast and important expertise to this complex case. Across the board, dedicated, highly competent personnel worked this case to arrest. This crime community and our state. While we cannot bring back Maddie, Kaylee, Zana, and Ethan, we can thoughtfully and purposefully carry their legacy forward in the work that we do. Our students come first, and that was proven each and every day of this investigation. We are committed to safely delivering the college town atmosphere, campus experience, and high-touch quality education for which the University of Idaho is known. With time, we will heal. We will move forward together, and we will remain Vandal strong. With that, I'd like to turn it back over to Chief Fry.
So now we will open the floor to questions. However, I want to remind everyone, as Prosecutor Bill Thompson explained, any factual information regarding the arrest of Kohlberger is currently sealed per Idaho law and will not be released until he has appeared in an Idaho court. Please Formulate your questions accordingly. I recognize there are a lot of questions, and I will try to answer as many of them as I can.
Lauren Patterson, Northwest Public Broadcasting, Spokane Public Radio. I realize the records are sealed. I guess I'm not too familiar with how it works, but can you tell us what tip, what lead, what piece of evidence really led you all the way from Idaho to the suspect in Pennsylvania?
As I've said in the past, that's part of our investigation, and we won't be releasing that at this time. We will have those answers. We'll have them as soon as we can make those available to you.
Then a quick follow-up and a two-parter. Is our community safe, or is law enforcement still on the search for other suspects who might be involved in this attack?
What I can tell you is we have an individual in custody who committed these horrible crimes, and I do believe our community is safe, but we still need to be vigilant, right? We still have talked about this in the past. We always need to be aware of our surroundings and make sure that we're aware of what's going on.
Hi, Chief. How soon into the investigation did police and law enforcement begin to spot Mr. Koberger? And a follow-up, how many tips, if you can say, were specifically related to Mr. Koberger?
To the tip part, honestly, I can't answer that question, so I'm not even going to speculate on that. On the other part, that's part of our investigation, and it will come out. I'd like the mic to please come right over here.
Thank you. Dana Griffin with NBC News. Can you confirm that Koberger asked whether or not
I cannot confirm that, or I'm not sure of that information, but that would still be a part of our investigation.
did CODIS initially return any hits on this guy?
That's still part of our investigation. That will come out. If we could get somebody over here, please.
And then one final question. Is there any message to the online sleuths who slandered and harassed people who they believed were responsible?
There was a lot of speculation going on. Message that comes out, and to pay attention to what we're putting out there to the press.
News Nation. And you told us that the remediation would begin today. It was suddenly stopped. Can you tell us?
Has been halted, and that came by a
Christina Corbin, Fox News. Chief, have you identified a motive?
That is part of the investigation, and that will come out as we continue the investigation. But what we still ask is for people to continually send us things in the tip line. We are still looking for more information. We're still trying to build that picture, just like we have pieces together, and that will help.
Chief, Veronica Miracle with CNN. Any indication that this?
That's part of the investigation as well. It won't be something that will come out at this point in time, but as we continue the investigation and as this case goes to trial, that will be brought forth.
Have you? They've told you today?
Are you talking to victims' families?
You have been listening in on a press conference led by Moscow Police Chief James Fry, who has been giving us as much information as they can release at this point. 47 days after the murders of 4 University of Idaho students. And we have officially confirmed that this man on your screen, Brian Koberger, is the suspect in custody. Here's what we know so far about Koberger. He's being held at the Monroe County Correctional Facility in Pennsylvania. He was arrested in the Pocono Mountains there. Early this morning, a SWAT team moved in and arrested him. Koberger went before a judge in Pennsylvania early this morning on fugitive from justice charges and will be extradited to Moscow, Idaho to face criminal charges. His name and picture match exactly with a PhD student in WSU's Department of Criminal Justice and Criminology. And we did confirm while listening to the press conference that he was a PhD student in Pullman, Washington. Koberger is being held for extradition, and we will wait to see if he waives that or not. That could be a lengthy process if he decides not to come back to Idaho, but eventually the police are confirming and the prosecutor that he will be brought back to Idaho to face trial. We are now waiting to learn when that will happen, but again, it could be a very short process. It could be a lengthy one. We do have a news crew in Moscow. We have another crew in Pullman right now. You are looking at these are the apartments that are believed to be rented by Brian Kohberger. We did hear from the police chief that he does rent an apartment in Pullman, and he was a resident there, even though he was arrested in Pennsylvania, his home state. This is the Steptoe Village Apartments at WSU in Pullman. It is on Northeast Valley Road, northeast of Highway 27 and Stadium Way. And our team did see yellow police tape, as you can see in the video, surrounding one of those apartments. And of course, the prosecutor made it very clear that this case is not over. Anyone who may be a neighbor of Kohberger or someone who worked alongside him, who knew him, who noticed anything suspicious, they are asking you to please continue to call the Moscow Police Investigation tip line. We have that number on our website, kxly.com. We will continue to update you with that tip line information because that is how they are going to continue to build this case. And we also have been at Wilson Short Hall, which is new video. We're going to bring you into the newsroom. Here we go. The Department of Criminal Justice and Criminology building at Washington State University, where Kohberger was believed to be attending as a PhD student. Again, we have confirmed that he was a PhD student at WSU. Let's review the case because, again, this has been 47 long days for the families of Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kernodle, all University of Idaho students in Moscow, Idaho, who were stabbed to death in their off-campus home. And it's just unbelievable to think of how those families are reacting today, this morning, as the news broke. And again, today, as we are hearing from the investigators who, for the most part, have been very tight-lipped about details in this investigation. We do know that the FBI has been assisting and investigating the case while the families of the 4 students have had to go through Thanksgiving and now Christmas without their loved ones and without answers. Some of the family members have even come out to say that they were worried that the case would go cold, but law enforcement remained vigilant and remained very confident that it would not, in fact, go cold. And today we are informing you that there has been an arrest in the case. Now, we know that a big detail into why they have not given us much information is because they are keeping things in this investigation close so that they can continue to prosecute. And they made it very clear in the press conference that the information that they've given is all that they can. They are just asking for more tips from the public who may have known this suspect. Again, 28-year-old Brian Kohberger. Any information that the public can give, whether it be videos or digital information from social media, here's a picture of him again, that could help to continue this process. And the community of Moscow has been on edge. One of the questions that was asked by a reporter was to Police Chief Fry, and she asked, "Do you believe that we are safe?" And that's a question that we have heard from our reporters out on the field in Moscow, asking how the community's been doing. The police chief responded with, "Yes, I do believe that you are safe. I believe that we are safe in Moscow. There has been an arrest." But he continued to say, "I believe that everyone needs to remain vigilant." And her follow-up question about, are there other suspects that you're looking for? So this is far from over. They have continued to put that information out there. We know that Moscow is a small town. It's a college community. So is Pullman with the University of Washington. So many people there still on edge. Some students did not return to school because of this continued investigation. We know that Kaylee Gonzalez's family has been likely the most vocal about holding police accountable throughout these 47 days as they've been waiting on an arrest and continuing to keep the spotlight on this investigation. The Gonzalez family does tell ABC News that they have never heard of the suspect, Brian Kohberger, but they are anxious to learn more about him. They also tell ABC News they are happy, relieved, and thankful that police have made this arrest. Let's go ahead and take a look at this case by the numbers. According to Moscow police, detectives have sifted through, as we just heard, 19,000 tips, and they have gone through more than 300 interviews since this investigation began. They have continually looked at phoned-in tips. They've been looking through emails. They have been looking through 6,000 tips, all submitted online, which include the potential evidence, like we said, with video, photos, and social media content. And they're continuing to look for more. One big detail law enforcement did not address during the press conference, and we are continuing to ask more questions about, is this white Elantra, the white Hyundai Elantra between the years of 2011 and 2013, that they have continued to tell us may have provided vital details in this case. And until Kohberger's arrest, police had not said why they were so interested in tracking down this car. Detectives would only say that they knew that there could be some information that would lead to an arrest. We know that investigators have been combing a database containing about 22,000 white Elantras like the one that you see on your screen. But again, we have not confirmed if that car was found or if that car did lead to Kohberger and the arrest that was made this morning. We do know today a celebration of life is being held in Coeur d'Alene for Kaylee Gonzalez and Madison Mogan at Lake City Church. And the Gonzalez family says the event is open to the public and will begin just about an hour and a half from now at 3 o'clock. So the families will be in mourning, but as we heard from them earlier today, they are feeling at least slightly relieved to know that an arrest has finally been made on the same day that they are having this celebration of life for two of the victims. We continue to follow this breaking news on the Moscow murders throughout the day during our newscasts and online on KXLY.com. Again, a huge break in this case for the University of Idaho murders that we have been following here on KXLY on 4 News Now, and throughout the day we will have more on our website and on 4 News Now starting at 5 o'clock. This will conclude our special report. We will see you later tonight.